A good game for me is a game that makes me forget that I'm playing a game. It's when you completely lose yourself in it, you're not aware of what's going on around you. It's modern magic. You trick people into believing a certain scenario is taking place, and you do it so convincingly that they immediately connect to it, which I guess is escapism, which is essentially what reading, watching movies, or playing games is about, right? You pretend you're somewhere else, someone else doing something you're not doing.
More and more, the lines between video games and cinema are becoming blurred. Here in Frankfurt, video game development studio Crytek is at the edge of where those two mediums meet. Founded more than 10 years ago by three brothers of Turkish descent, the video game studio has developed a reputation for incredibly realistic, highly polished games, such as their marquee franchise Crysis 3. We spoke to members of the game development team about hot rodding for the Xbox, the future of games, and what it's like to be building the new cinema. This is Rasmus. As Director of Creative Development at Crytek, he oversees franchises like the Crysis game series.
It's important, and it will always be important for Crytek to create really high quality visuals. That doesn't necessarily mean the technical quality of the visuals, maybe the art quality of the visuals, but it needs to be done well in order to immerse players.
The Crysis series is a near-future military shooter that takes a hyper-realistic approach to gameplay.
Crytek is known for creating these very lush tropical environments really well, which was what dominated Crysis 1. And then Crysis 2 has this urban setting that then gets completely infested with alien technology and matter. And then, in a way, those things are combined in Crysis 3, where New York has become this completely overgrown rainforest. Because this rainforest is artificially grown, we can take it to some extremes, which gives us some creative liberties in terms of level design and visuals and moods. Once you're able to do realistic rendering, that's almost like being able to play off of a page. You know, you can read the notes and you can play what is there, but it's not necessarily that interesting. It's a little dull. It's only when you apply your own art form and personality on top of it that it actually becomes art. One of the things that we spend a lot of effort on in general and really wanted to push is just making sure that you have that high frame rate so that people can actually play the game and can actually aim and all this, but at the same time cram in all these things that makes it look like it's filmed, because people are used to seeing things filmed, right? You would never see a lens flare. You would only see that through a lens. So you essentially add all the, should we say, crap that you have to accept when you have a camera artificially into the virtual world. That just makes them feel nice at home and like, yep, this is like a movie I'm playing.
Creating a game with movie techniques requires a powerful software set known as a game engine. Crytek's CryEngine is one of the most popular and is known for its ability to render detailed environments in real time.
The major components of a game engine are the AI, lighting and physics, shaders, rendering, and finally the tools that the developer uses to put it all together. Really taking all the technical stuff away so that the creative people can just do their work on the game. The biggest thing that I'm always worried about is performance. You can't, have hundreds and thousands of particle effects going off all the time. You've got to manage performance throughout the entire game. The current generation consoles, so Xbox and PS3, they really don't have a lot of memory. This is actually using 2.5 gigs of video memory right now. And I mean, the Xbox only got 512. Imagine having to cut 3/4 of what you're seeing. But, you can't make it look like you've cut 3/4. So, my whole job is trying to get the visuals that you want with really high performance.
In terms of art, when you have really, really strong limitations, it really sets apart the very good artists. I mean, we're pushing against those limitations all the time, and no matter how fast hardware is, it always feels like there's just as much limitation as there's always been. It just becomes smaller and smaller details that you start focusing on, right? It's so many little things, the way that light breaks in the visor and you get all these strange flares in the visor. For me, it's incredibly immersive because it makes me feel a lot more like I'm that guy wearing a helmet.
Got him. That's it.
Another thing that's important is that the whole thing needs to feel very alive. You can't have the world be dead and static. There needs to be motion in the vegetation. You can see stuff like grass is something we put a lot of effort into. I can't think of any other game that has this level of detail in grass.
Normally you have one big plane with a lot of grass painted on, but we have nearly every grass instance as a separate object. This is the instance count, so this is all single objects. I had photo references and I split it up into single pieces and rearranged it in high poly, and then re-rendered out as a texture again. So I have a brush with a radius, and there I can say I paint this stuff. And they will random rotate, random scale, so they don't grow all the same. But then I still have to go and say, okay, here's a line of high grass, and next to it then comes a line of low grass. We have wind spawning in the levels, and that makes the grass go in different directions, so they react to the wind. That's normally the polish work, the overtime that you stay late and just put some good music on and sit here and just paint grass, paint grass.
Each blade of grass moves games like Crysis closer to the experiences of film. This begs the question, will games overtake cinema as the most dominant art form of the 21st century?
Cinema will be inspired by games, games will be inspired by cinema. It might change what cinema is, hopefully in the way that it's always good when a certain art form gets affected by something else. As long as everybody feel all the time that they have something to learn from that other industry, I think that's going to help push the quality a lot. I guess it's a little bit like you sometimes want that magic you felt with Christmas when you were a kid. You want that to come back, but it just never does. It's very, very rare to get that today. But then when you get it, it's just so awesome. And that's when you know that someone has done subjectively something that is really, really good.